a ton on this game, knowing what's coming with the trade deadline on Thursday and wondering whether this is the last time you see this team in this form and whether that's a good or a bad thing. And that's going to kind of be the debate, and I'm sure we'll talk about it a ton tonight. We'll spend some time on the game, and then we're going to get into, obviously, the trade deadline, which is hours away at this point, and whether the Celtics will, should, what's going to go on there. But let's start with this game. 24-point lead. They whittle it all the way down, have a shot to win or tie twice in the fourth quarter, which is about as much as you could ask given the situation. In a normal season, guys, and under normal circumstances, a game like this would obviously be a check mark in the positive category. It's really hard to do it with this team because it just is kind of just another reminder of how frustrating they are. And I don't know. It's hard to take, like I said, it's hard to take away positives here because of what led up to this point where they did come back in the game, giving open threes, falling down early, just looking like a dead team, and then great push in the second half. So I don't know. Do you view this as more positive than negative that they came back in this one? It's just another frustrating. Yeah.
Yeah, you nailed it right there. It's more negative because it's this pattern that just the Celtics can't get out of their own way.
Can't play 48. Yeah,
it's the exact same thing we've been saying after these losses over and over again, and we're sounding like broken records here. At this point, it's like, listen, the Celtics look like the team that were playing catch up all game long up until the fourth quarter, where they decided for things to click. But that wasn't even the case on the defensive end against this Bucks team, in my opinion. I feel like they just couldn't string together stops, whereas that was the difference between coming within two and pulling ahead completely. Because when you're missing those threes, they go a long way. When you're in transition and you can't keep up with the Bucks, whether it's an open three in the corner or whether it's someone's cutting down the middle with ease, like the Celtics defense just continues to be ineffective in those areas where it's like open threes, transition defense. It's the same thing over and over again. Whereas in the fourth quarter, you're seeing them correct some of those mistakes by picking things up offensively, but they're not getting out of this pattern that we're continuing to see. So yeah, I think you nailed it. 40 plus games into the regular season, this isn't a moral victory whatsoever for the Celtics team.
I think they did a better job than you did defensively, or you thought they did defensively, Josue. I mean, they held Giannis to 1 of 5 in the first half, 4 of 11 on the game with 13 points. The three-point shooting staggering. They started 10 of 19, but they finished, 7 of 18? So they did much better stopping that in the second half. I thought Grant played some good defense for them. I'm feeling good about the effort here, going from within 25 to 2. Now, ultimately, there were a few decisions on the stretch, the turnover, the Theis 3 that ultimately ended it that are frustrating. But overall, this is probably one of the better defensive efforts I've seen from them all season. That's without Tristan Thompson. That's without some of the other guys that could factor into that. Yeah, I mean, this isn't the Memphis Grizzlies, guys. This isn't the Magic. This is a championship contending Bucks team. Maybe the best offense in the league.
I understand that.
Going off, you take advantage of that, Bobby. You have all your guys.
You got to win the Giannis only scores 12 points game.
I mean, that's talking offensively where they were not good tonight. But I'm thinking defensively, they did what they needed to do. The offense didn't give them a chance to win this one between Smart, Tatum having a really rough game.
I mean, you want to be if you want to split hairs. The Bucks scored a point above their average on the season, and the Celtics scored 9 points above their average on the season. So you would argue that they played better offensively than defensively.
They gave up a ton of threes in the first half. I'm not freaking out about that.
It's a lot of open
50% from the floor. They drained 14 threes. I mean, honestly, I thought it feels like they drained 19 or 20. So I guess you got a point there. I'm surprised it's not closer to 17 or 18, but they shot 50% from the floor. I mean, they didn't look rattled whatsoever. Yeah. No, I don't agree with that at all.
They wanted.
The Bucks were comfortable completely. The entire game up until that last 2 minutes, they were comfortable out there.
Yeah. Jimmy?
Am I having an audio issue, guys?
No, you sound fine. I don't know what's
going on. Jimmy, go.
Microphone on? All right, good. I was going to say, I was kind of...
But you sound a little faint and distant, so I want you to bring it a little bit.
Faint. Yeah, I don't know if it's just because the loss hurt you so much.
Or just get a squeaky, angry little voice there, Jimmy. I want you to
I'll put my headphones in. My microphone might
belt
be
it. Put some bass in that.
Let me just say this at first. Bobby, I was on the Bobby train when he started off. I think if Theis hits that shot, we're talking about how, They showed fight. They showed some effort that we've been looking for. They showed some, passion. I saw on Twitter some people were trying to like spin the Smart Theis thing as like a negative, but I saw it as a positive. I saw, two guys, into the game and trying to make a comeback, in which they did. So I give them all the credit in the world. The Theis shot didn't fall. It was wide open. I'm not surprised it didn't fall. He's been kind of, I think he's hit one of those shots all year. Possession before that, it was Marcus Smart again taking the shots when, you're looking for Brown or Tatum to do so. Kemba had the hot hand in the second half there. My issue is with the defense because I thought they just came out flat. In the first half, they gave up 70 points in the first half. And you're going to say that you thought this was one of the better defensive efforts. You have 70 points in the first half. I mean,
they gave up 10 threes. I mean, this is an elite shooting team. That's just going to happen, especially when you're packing the paint on Giannis.
Okay, but like don't commend them for their defense. They ended up giving up 120.
I'm talking about the whole game, the whole product, all together.
Bobby,
I think it was solid.
If the Celtics are giving up 70 points and Giannis didn't go off, like that's not good. Like,
if the game was
right,
locked,
then you had a bad game plan. You shut down Giannis and you allowed 70
what the F
points.
happened, right? Like,
well, Jimmy's beloved Pacers, who were supposed to be the darling of the East, gave up 140 on Monday, and Giannis didn't even play. I mean, this offense is
again, Bobby.
World beater.
Are we doing participation trophies here? I'm confused. It's not abysmal, but it's not commendable either. I don't think. I mean, that's what kind of where we're at. They played. I guess at the end of the day, it was close enough to win, but I mean, they had to, claw back from 25 down. Otherwise, the Bucks did whatever they wanted all game long. I mean, it was. I don't know that there was a lot of positives, but you're right. The turnaround was spurred by a little bit more defensive pressure. They did make them a little bit more uncomfortable. And when they started to get into that lead, when they got it down into that 12, 10, 8 range, the defense definitely in that spell had turned things up a little bit. But I mean, on the whole, over the course of 48 minutes, I'd say they played horrible defense for 36, 38 minutes and played pretty good for 8 or 10. And that's hard to, I mean, I'm not giving them a pat on the butt. 40.
Yeah, I'm just going by context. Giannis is averaging 31 over like the last 15.
You're just cherry picking stats, Bobby.
Bobby, you're literally looking. See, that's the thing, and that's the problem with a lot of people do this. You're looking at it as the Celtics against Giannis, and that you can't look at it that way because the Celtics have to be able to capitalize when Giannis isn't playing. They have to be able to capitalize when everyone is healthy, and at least the offense was clicking. I mean, listen, I give Grant Williams a lot of credit because he came in there and he got more minutes. I think maybe because it was when Shemi got hurt, maybe not, but he took advantage of it. Either way you look at it, he took advantage of it. He did a good job of getting out there to defend the arc. So did Robert Williams on those pick and roll switches. Daniel Theis a little bit as well. I thought some of those calls again, same thing, right? Some bad calls for Daniel Theis, with those personal fouls for sure.
Even that last shot, Brooke was kind of up in him.
Defensively, yeah, that's true. But defensively, I mean, listen, I want to see this team do this for 4 quarters or do it for 3 quarters, 3 out of 4. Like this whole, we're going to slack off for 3.5 quarters and try to pull it together. And try to win the game. This just doesn't work all the time, especially against a team like this.
I think the play that stuck out to me as the story of the game on the defensive side is Rob getting left on Giannis at the top of the arc there, Grant creeping in a little too much, and Bobby Portis getting an open 3 on the right side there in the second half. I mean, Bobby Portis is shooting 48% from 3 this year. Are you going to live with Giannis going right at Robert's neck down the hole there? Is Grant going to creep in and give up an open 3 to that guy? This team's so good offensively. Everybody shoots. Even Giannis on some nights can hit his threes. I think relative to what they were playing, they did a good job.
I don't know how we're saying it's an offensive issue. Celtics shot 48% from the floor and 40% from 3 with, I just don't know how we're looking at the offense as a reason that they lost this game.
I'm looking at the way it's coming.
The only problem I had in that fourth quarter with the offensive execution was just 3 consecutive threes out of that timeout. I just didn't like it. I know the last one went in, which was huge, obviously, the Tatum one. I don't think this game even comes down to the way it did if it wasn't for that. But I just didn't like that approach. You come out of a timeout. Again, we've been saying this all season long. When their backs against the wall, when there's 2-3 minutes left to play, all of a sudden it's like, okay, we have to start gunning for threes. And I hate that mentality for this team. Regardless of who they're playing against, it's the same approach, whether it's the Bucks or whether it's the Sacramento Kings.
Yeah, I thought that was the ball game right there, and then they actually fought back from it when they
survived it, right?
When they survived that, because it went from you could have gotten it down to 5 and it turned into 11, and I thought that was it, and they did make their way back from there, which was again commendable because I thought that's where they'd lost it. And it was again, it was a smart three, which was the first one early in the clock.
I know you hated that one.
Then DiVincenzo comes back and makes his one. Then Kemba comes right back out, and Jackson early in the clock three. I thought that was it. And then they did it. I mean, again, you want to quibble the late game execution again. And this is going to be a story, particularly tonight, particularly because we don't know if this is Marcus Smart's last game. But again, you've got these Marcus Smart late game situations where, I mean, a three, fine, it's a good shot. But again, the two possessions there, Tatum and Brown, and Jimmy, you texted it. Tatum and Brown don't even touch the ball late in the game. And again, I'm not putting it on Smart. This is the stuff we got to get annoyed with Brad about. Like, how are you running anything late in the game and you don't at least get the ball into Tatum's hands early in the clock? It's baffling that that's the case. And it happened twice. And then you have Smart driving the lane into the trees and getting blocked. And thankfully that's going out of bounds. Then you have Smart throwing a terrible inbounds pass with 2 seconds left into
Giannis's hands.
He's lucky that he didn't just steal that and end the game right there. Like,
the amount of things he did late there. You know, he's like, these are the games and these are the things.
Sherrod said this.
Crazy with Smart, and it would suck if that's the last impression fans have of him, because obviously that's not what he's all about. But this was that you want to rip your hair out Marcus Smart sort of game. And then he makes a great pass to Tyson. If that goes in, he's a hero. So you're right. The narrative could have changed pretty easily because that was a really good find and a really great look, and you're not going to do any better with 1 second to go and no timeout on an inbounds play. But it was
wild. I mean, yeah. They didn't even cover Theis like on the inbounds. I don't even know if that was like I don't even know if you can credit Smart for that. Like, I don't know what the Bucks were doing there, but Theis was completely uncovered the whole time. But you're right. I mean, if it goes down, it's a different story. But I thought Kemba Walker was maker in the second half, and I'm not going to give him all credit because he was a no-show in the first half. You know,
he was great in the second half, and I was crapping all over him in the first because I didn't even know he played. And then he turned it on.
Right, but that was the biggest. That was probably the biggest change.
Right?
He's going out blazing.
That's John. Yeah. That's John.
He's running out of time. He's using all his makes right now.
Yeah, I think he's toast. No, but I mean, thank God for Kemba in the second half, right? Because Tatum's still in that friggin' dizzy funk or whatever. I mean, he didn't have it tonight. Jaylen played 5 minutes and then stopped playing too. I mean, not really, but he did all his damage in the first 5 minutes of the game. They didn't have a lot going there, and Kemba saved them completely in that second half.
He's great
Kemba
against
saved
the
them, and he's like the, I don't want to say heartbeat because I don't know if they have one, but he's about as close as you can get. You know, to when he's, you know, they pretty much go as he goes. When he's not playing, we all know how they look, and when he's not playing well, we know how they look. When he is playing well and, you know, driving to the lane, kicking it out, you know, hitting his open shots, they just seem to kick it into another gear. It's a lot to ask of one guy, and you shouldn't have to because you do have the Tatums and the Browns and the Smarts, but for whatever reason, and there are many of them, those players have not been able to, and Kemba too, they just haven't been able to string it together for stretches of time. Together, you know, separately, 48 minutes, 36 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it is, they're a completely different team depending on, you know, what time it is during the game.
I'll say this on Smart too. Sherrod threw this out there when he was on, I think 2 shows ago, but it's developed further since. I mean, they're 2-6 since Smart came back. They're 11-14 with Smart on the season. I know there's been other guys going in and out throughout those periods, but it's not all about health. It's not all about availability as people keep throwing around. When they've had a healthy roster this year, I think of that Spurs game that was a disaster. They've had some really bad losses with their full team intact, essentially. Yep. And I think they've missed Thompson a little bit, but not enough to be losing this many games. Yeah. So, like, is Smart really the solution either? That you got to ask.
This is again where we're going to get into it, and it's you hate having a recency bias here in a decision that could, you know, end the career theoretically of one of the the really important Celtics of this generation for sure. So you don't want to short sell what Marcus Smart's done for all the criticism we give him. I mean, he had a really bad game, bad Marcus in every sense of the word. You know, the stuff
bad
you don't
Marcus,
want.
Bad.
Bad Marcus, bad. This was a rough one, but going back to the thing you mentioned earlier about Kemba and not being able to find that offense or the consistency from Tatum, Brown, and Kemba. There's just too much of this your ball, my ball sort of stuff, and that's the problem. Is you're rolling the dice that whoever is shooting at that time has the hot hand.
Even with Teague, I keep saying this.
Yeah.
There's no way to actually take advantage of Teague other than throw him into that equation.
Yeah, you can't guess it, and so because there's no defined alpha, so to speak, it's just, and because they have such a poor ball movement offense and they play so much isolation, and that what you've got is, okay, I've got the ball now, it's my turn to shoot, and you hope that during that stretch it works. And you've seen it, like Jaylen's taken over the third quarter a couple of times. Tatum gets hot in the fourth. Kemba did it in this game, and you ride those waves, but you just never know when they're coming. So you can't count on anything with this team. It's really like, I don't know, do you have it going tonight? Let me jack 6 or 7 shots and see. And that's just kind of what it goes. And it's obviously unsustainable. It's been their issue all season long. No consistency.
It's fool's gold is what it is, John. Because how many times do we see Tatum? And to his credit, he's gotten better at it, but it's not ideal. Those 1 foot, way outside deep 3-pointers that go in, and they can be a momentum changer, and that can help that could help the Celtics in their favor. But it's like when you have that to rely on down the stretch all the time, it's like, wait, you can't consistently rely on that because that's not going to come through for you. And again, it goes back to the same Celtics team that we're seeing, playing catch up pretty much throughout, the first 3 quarters. Whereas before, even if they were trailing, they kept it relatively close, but that just wasn't the case against the Bucks. And yeah, I thought this thing was done for sure midway through the fourth or around the 4-minute mark. So yeah, they did come back, and sure, I can give them a little props for that. But again, after 40 plus games of seeing this and this team below 500, just not impressed with the almost comeback win. Even if they did pull it off, I still would be here talking trash, talking my shit right now, because I'm not. Again, it's just frustrating. I thought the Celtics if they could just strung together defensive stops, they could have won this game in that fourth quarter.
The people in the chat are telling me that Evan Fournier hit the game winner for the Magic tonight over the Suns.
Wow, you can't make that up.
In his
really needed
untradeable now.
21 points for Fournier, 8 of 16, 4 of 9. Gordon another clunk. Gordon a clunker, 5 of
basketball gods.
Gordon's fucking at Boston.
5 of 15, 0 for 5. Actually,
Fournier.
Okay.
I'll just say real quick about Fournier. I can't ever even remember seeing an Evan Fournier highlight in the history of basketball.
Well, you didn't watch the World Cup because that guy is.
You know what I think of?
Wow, Francais.
Honestly, whenever I think of Fournier, I think of him crushing the Celtics at TD Garden. It happened a lot, throughout the last 4 years or so.
He's not an athletic guy. He's a shot maker, but he's not he's not a guy who's going to be putting up highlights sort of buckets.
Right.
That being said,
that's what I mean. He's not a
somebody recently made the case. Everyone's we keep going back and forth on this Gordon thing, and again, where the Gordon thing appears to stand is a bit of a game of chicken right now, where Danny is offering what it appears is 1 draft pick and 1 young player. So it's kind of that comfort zone of what you're, Bobby, and what we've talked about, what you're okay giving up, which is 1 first rounder and a Neesmith type figure. So be it. If that's the case, obviously pack the bags and bring him over here. Where it gets complicated is with the Smart Fournier sort of situation. But another question is, would you explore just doing Fournier right now and not giving away legitimate assets and do that smaller deal? We did talk about TP using the TPE for role players or bench sort of players instead of because again, if Gordon's going to cost you something real, and if it's Marcus or if it's whatever, you start to, how split do you think the Celtics are right now and Celtics fans are on a deal that also involves Marcus Smart going out for Gordon coming in? Pretty down the middle, right?
Yeah.
Even analysts too, they're not sure whether it makes the Celtics better. And we were talking about it too. We're not sure either. But maybe you just do that.
You want both if you're sending Smart out for sure.
For Smart, yes. But if you're not, and
you don't do Smart,
just a dump, maybe you do that. I don't know.
Yeah, you would think about doing Teague and a second for Fournier, a fully protected second. The problem is that's $14 million or I think it's 17 million he makes, right, of the TPE on expiring. So they're just not going to do that.
No, you'd want
Fournier would
to
help.
take Tristan.
Yeah, Tristan's
Even
the
if
one
they do that, though, that's still
TP.
I don't think you can match without throwing quite a few guys in there, and then
No,
Magic
you'd
have to
use
answer
part of the
questions about.
TPE.
Yeah, you would use part, but you wouldn't be using 17 million.
If you can get Tristan off the books for another year and use part of it, maybe that's something you.
It's either or. The way the TP works is you either take all the salary into it, or you match the contracts and don't use it at all. You can't use part of it and like use other salaries to match the other part of the deal coming in. It's all or nothing. So you're taking in 17 million on Fournier, I think is his salary, or you're sending out like 4 or 5 players to match. So that's what complicates that a little bit. I think he'd help, but I just don't think and I don't like when people say this on Gordon, but it's true with Fournier. He's not moving the needle enough to start digging into that TPE. And he's probably leaving at the end of the year. You could be. So then you waste that much TPE on a guy who could leave. Right.
So
I don't know.
The question now becomes, and so here's where we are. KOC went on the air, went on NBC earlier today, and he said that it's Celtics in Portland there, but Denver might be making that late push and willing to throw more things into the mix. In which case, Celtics would have to up the offer from whatever this is. And it's interesting because earlier in the week, the story was that they'd already put two first-round picks on the table. And they were the only team to have done so, which made them the front runners. And now it appears it's a single first-round pick and a young player for Gordon. So what are we looking at here? If the Celtics are about to get outbid, what more do you do to this offer? Forget Smart and forget Fournier and forget doing that deal. Just this offer. What do you need to do to make it work? And what are you willing to give up? Throw in another first, throw in another young player. What do you do Smart at this point and say, yep, if that's what it's going to take? If they I don't want your young player, I want Smart.
Yeah, I don't think Aaron Gordon is the one. I honestly don't. And listen, I'm not overvaluing Marcus Smart. I'm not one of those guys that's like, you can't trade Marcus Smart, but I'm not quite sure if Aaron Gordon is going to check those boxes. And I'm not saying that he necessarily has to be Marcus Smart, obviously, but we're asking him, or the Celtics are going to be asking him to be that two-way player that they desperately need, the upgrade that they need, that catch and shoot, that's going to be a part of this as well. I think that's what the Celtics are definitely looking into, because we all know that he's not the kind of guy who is going to, needs the ball in his hand all the time to score. I mean, in transition in the open floor as a defender, I mean, those are the reasons why the Celtics want to get someone like this. But I don't know if Marcus Smart is it. I think 2 future firsts, a young player. I mean, if that's not enough, maybe you take the lesser deal. I think maybe the Celtics consider targeting Fournier or maybe someone else. I'm not quite sure. I'm not ready to put Marcus Smart. I'm not putting Marcus Smart in this trade. I wouldn't do it. I don't
think it helps Orlando that Gordon's had a couple clunkers late, because again, people remember what they see, and his last game heading into a trade deadline is a 5 of 15 clunker. He was 3 of 13. Did have
7 threes last Friday though.
I know, but he was 3 of 13 against the Celtics as well. So you had a couple of the what am I getting in this guy sort of games recently, where you look at it and it's like, I could live without this, like there's nothing Aaron Gordon's done in the last couple of games that I can't live without. And
so
again, it's not all about shooting and offense. He can play defense. He does other things well. He allows you to play a different brand of basketball. He helps a little bit with spacing, or when people blitz Tatum and Brown with the ball, or Kemba. He's another person you can get the ball to, and there's different things you can do for sure. But he's not really like blowing anybody away right now.
I'll throw before Jimmy hits on Gordon, the way you would make Fournier work is Thompson, Teague, Edwards, Green. That would be the way to make it work money-wise.
You've been on the trade machine too long, my friend. Way too many hours in the day. If you were in
Tristan
class
Thompson,
right now, the teacher would be scolding you.
Yeah.
Bobby, get off that trade machine right now.
I thought I blocked that. How are you getting on that?
So on Gordon, I've gone back and forth on this a lot, but I'm at the point where, and this, it's hard to.
He's about to jump off the ship.
He wants to trade.
I'm at the point where I think the Marcus Smart era it might be over, and it's not really Marcus Smart's fault. I think again, it might have to do with some fit. It might have to do with, I don't know if almost similar to, like maybe his teammates have almost tuned him out. I don't know. I have nothing to base it on other than the fact that he's supposed to be like the heart and soul and everything of the team, but I still don't really see a lot of it out there. Even with him on the court, Bobby, you already talked about the record with him out there. The production has dipped, certainly in late in the games in the fourth quarter. And I'm kind of interested to see what else Aaron Gordon can offer on a better team. I mean, let's not forget, this guy has not really had great teams, great guards around
Better
him.
team.
A better team, yeah. Very loosely
That's
stated.
the thing, yeah, about the offense.
I'd like to see what Aaron Gordon can do with better players around him, like Kemba Walker or obviously Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum. And I think what Gordon can offer is athleticism, obviously, a force down low. I think he can maybe open things up by forcing defenders to sort of collapse on him when he is, whether he's driving to the hoop or whatever he's doing. I don't want him to end up being a player that just turns into a shot chucker, because we know the type of shooter that he is. So if he's going to come to Boston and just take on that role, then the grass might not be greener on the other side, and it might just end up being a bigger Marcus Smart. I want to see a Gordon who's, showcasing what he's good at, which is playing above the rim and being athletic and being aggressive.
Contests.
All right.
Dunk contest. But by being that type of guy.
Not winning them. He's never
won
won
one.
a dunk contest.
Can
I share my screen? I got a really good one here in the trade machine. I'm gonna pitch to you guys.
Okay, Bobby.
Let's see it.
If this is trash, we're gonna let you know about it.
All right.
Share
So
screens?
we've talked about the issue
If you're in the studio portion of it.
Gotcha.
We've talked about the issue. Are we seeing my screen yet?
Not you, Jimmy.
I think you got to
Nope.
call it up, John.
Yeah.
Me?
I don't
Yeah.
have that power.
So we've talked about the issue with the Celtics possibly not bringing in a point guard if they do trade Smart. We've talked about the Magic possibly not wanting Smart. And we've talked about Danny going to a third team for picks to facilitate this thing a little bit. With the Thunder, who have about 35 picks
I love
in the
this.
future, would they take Marcus Smart as we've talked about as like a tone setter, like a leader for a young team? Take Nesmith too as like a first round player. Send Thompson to the Magic as a salary dump, along with one Celtics pick, like 2 Thunder picks, because they have a million picks that they don't need from the Clippers and Heat and whoever else, and just overload the Magic with picks to take Thompson, dump Gordon, get Hill to Boston, who's an outstanding, rotation point guard. And I think you make all 3 teams happy here. This one would be tough to swallow for the Magic, but I think if they get 3 or 4 first-round picks out of this one,
picks, yeah.
they'll walk away happy.
Hey,
3 or 4?
There better be some picks in there. Jeez.
Well, no, not from the Celtics, Jimmy. I think you'd get like 2 of the Thunder own like Clippers picks,
Wait,
Rockets
what are they
picks,
giving?
Heat
They're
picks.
giving Gordon and what?
They're
Just
giving
Gordon.
just Gordon to the
Why,
Celtics.
they're going to get 4 first-round picks for Aaron Gordon.
Well, 2 from the Thunder, 2 from the Celtics.
What are the
and
Thunder
Celtics
getting?
to dump
What
in
are
Thompson.
the Thunder getting of value to give up 2 picks?
Yeah. I was gonna say.
Smart and Nesmith.
No, that's not 2 first-round picks. No.
They have like 35 picks, John.
Doesn't
They got to
matter.
use it on something.
No.
Marcus Smart goes back to his old college stomping grounds. Maybe the fans get fired up for that a little bit.
Joins Horford.
I'm all over the map on Smart and have been my entire his entire
Are
existence.
you trading him for Gordon?
Yes. Yes, I am. But I mean, I think you can get the deal done without it.
I figured everyone knew that already.
But I mean, I'm only doing it because I have always been in the camp that
You're not gonna sign him.
No, I just think his value is is he underrated or overrated? And I've always been in I just think it's more legend than it is real. And a lot of people totally disagree with that. And I get it, because there are moments where I'm like, am I totally wrong here?
That's not true in the past. I mean,
that's just how I
he's
felt.
done
I can't.
Well, let's talk. Hold on, real quick. Let's talk about legend though.
Real quick, and then I'll cede the floor here. You know, Bobby, how we always talk about like Rob Williams mistakes and can you live with them? I think there's more about Marcus Smart that's hard to live with than there is the positive, and I've thought so for a long time. He is just an absolutely dreadful shooter. He makes horrible
Mhm.
decisions at really bad times. But you have that intangible factor. And the only reason I'm not like 100% on this is what people say about him. You have the players say about it. He's our heartbeat and this and that. He means a lot to a lot of people. So I have to just say, okay, it probably is true then. But from what I see, I think he does way more that hurts you than helps you. And I mean, we're talking an entire career where he's a 37% shooter from the floor and 33% from the three. He's just a brutally tough offensive player to live with. It sometimes just takes way too many shots. And I just, like I said, I've never thought he's nearly as good defensively as his reputation suggests. He's not a great one-on-one defender. He's scrappy, he's gritty, he's tough, he's got all those things. It's just, I just don't think when he's gone, ultimately we'll be like, oh, we're missing all of those things. Unless if this team is so mentally soft that they need someone to constantly kick them in the butt.
They are, John. That's
problems,
exactly what I'm about to. Yeah.
But Josue, their problems run way deeper than one guy in there to remind them that, like, hey, go out there and make sure you do the thing you're paid millions of dollars to do. If you've got that, if Smart's the only person in the world who can motivate these guys, they're screwed regardless. So I just don't know I don't know how big of a need it is.
Listen, look, when you say the Smart legend, I think what a lot of Celtics fans don't completely, or some of them do actually, they don't completely realize or understand is that it's not just about what happened, what people are saying in Boston. It's across the league. I think that whether it's intimidation or whether it's pressure or whether it's just attitude, that reflects against opposing teams as well. Like, I think that strikes a little bit of fear, whether it's late game execution or whether it's in those fourth quarter stretches, that gives the Celtics an advantage. I don't know how significant it is. I agree with you in the sense that a couple of years ago, we thought it was way more significant than it really is. I get that. But at the same time, I think that motivation in the locker room goes a long way for the Celtics team. As the defense continues to struggle, I just think trading away Smart, again, for Aaron Gordon, that's the thing here. If you're bringing in someone like Aaron Gordon, I'm not quite sure he's going to be able to, that offense is going to outweigh what you're getting from Marcus Smart on defense. And look, as a playmaker, like, that's a part of Marcus Smart's game that we don't talk about enough. I think Bobby brings it up every now and then this season, but he's improved in that aspect of his game.
Yes,
but he's the best passer.
It's not an accident that, Josue, the thing you said, I think, is perfectly right. And I want everybody else's take here, but I just wanted to follow up there. That thing you said is dead on. It's a couple of years ago in the legend of Smart. Smart is clearly the type of player that's more valuable to a very good team or a deep team or a team with a lot of talent. But when he's asked to do things out of his comfort zone, you see too much of this, and then you see more of his warts. And I think that's why this year people are getting that less shiny version of Smart. When you've got Gordon and Tatum and Brown and Al and all of these guys who can do all of these different things and score, great. It's awesome to have that spark plug guy who's in there diving for loose balls and kind of keeps you honest and adds that little energy boost when you need it. But you're asking for him to be your primary playmaker and pick up some of the brunt of the scoring, and it's just not. That's not who he's meant to be. He's really more.
That's for the season, though, John.
He's really a sixth man who's being asked to be your third best player, and he's just out of it. Well, whatever, third, fourth. I get
what you're saying, but that's this season, though. That's not ideal.
That's
and
we're finding that out. A good team, and again, that's why I don't understand why a bad team would take him. There are some reporters who say there's a culture thing where he can fix a culture somewhere, but I mean, all evidence to the contrary. If he's coming from a place where the culture is currently broken, so again, I don't understand why a bad team would value someone like Smart. I think he's a phenomenal piece on a good team, but I don't get what the Magic would want with him. It makes no sense that he's even included. But Jimmy, where are you on this?
Well, I'm not sure what the question is now. We've
Marcus's value and whether he'll be missed. Whether he will be missed.
Will he be missed? Okay. Yeah, no. So totally. I mean, I think you touched on it a little bit with, Marcus is seen as a leader and seen as a culture guy and all that stuff. I don't know how much of that is just romanticism and, seeing what he does on the court and just assuming that he is, this stable presence in the locker room off the court. I mean, you can go back to every season with this Celtics team, and maybe it's just because we're covering the team, and maybe it's like that with every team, but you can go back to, like, the last 4 or 5 seasons. There's been drama, like, every single season, players leaving, fighting in the locker room, wondering if, there's a disconnect between the coaches and the players, whether it's Kyrie, whether it's, last season with the blow up in the bubble, Stars leaving, Gordon leaving, Horford leaving, Kyrie leaving. I mean, if Marcus Smart's been here through this entire ordeal, and even like leading up to today, I mean, seems to be like there's a lot of unrest with the team. Are they upset at Tristan Thompson? That was the last rumor, and it's like, okay, are we just And when Marcus Smart was out earlier this season, the Celtics were losing, and everyone was saying, oh well, it goes to show you how important Marcus Smart is to this team. That's again a little bit of romanticism there, and looking back on past and remembering the winning plays that he makes, and he has made those. But at the end of the day, he is not irreplaceable. He's a guy that I think, like a lot of Celtics players who eventually leave the team, you get over it and you move on and you realize, you know what, maybe we were overvaluing him a little bit than what he actually is compared to other players in the league.
I don't think we have to do that. I don't think we have to go back and say, oh, he wasn't worth it all these years. He did what he did.
That's not what I'm saying, Bobby. I didn't say that. Did I say that?
No, I think that's what John's saying.
You don't have to put him up.
I'm not saying that.
Him in the top 10 all-time Celtics.
I don't think we've overrated him. We could be overrating him now and into the future.
I think we always have a bit. I
don't think so.
Because of the winning plays, how many games did Marcus Smart literally?
And he's a great, character. He's personable. He's easy to cheer for. He's been through a lot, in his personal life, and you sort of watch him grow up here, and there are certainly attachments to that. And I think like Toronto's even going through something a little bit like with Lowry and the fact that he might be traded. I'm not comparing the two players, but I'm just saying there's an attachment there that you have to sort of try to look at it from all different angles and say, okay, well, can the Celtics recover, or can they actually get better?
Of course they can. That's the answer.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the answer.
The definitive answer is they can. The question is, are you getting anything that's making you? It's more about the return than what's going out. Problem.
But you might get something from Marcus.
But Josue's dubious on Gordon.
That you can flip easier. But
maybe it's not just about being skeptical of his performance in Aaron Gordon, right? It's also about Marcus Smart. We knew this before the season started. We knew this after Gordon Hayward was gone. He's the only tradable contract after that TPE expires, whether Danny H uses it or not. So if you want to see the Celtics go out and trade Marcus Smart, end up with no TPE, no tradable contracts going into next season, and we're seeing this whole team all over again with Aaron Gordon as the only difference and no Marcus Smart. Like, why is that so alluring, or why is that something that people are excited over? It's a big question mark. Could it turn out well? Could everything turn out well? Could Aaron Gordon come into Boston and improve himself, and all of a sudden he becomes a 20+ or whatever? He improves and he's overall, it was a better deal. Yeah, that's a possibility. But if it doesn't go that way, you're in a really tough spot if you're the Celtics.
What I'm a little worried about. Go ahead, Bobby. Sorry.
Well, Matt Moore went on Celtics Beat this week and said that it was the real deal. Some Bill Simmons mentioned, and others have, that they were trying to trade Smart over the offseason for the number 2 pick. And I don't think that's an indictment.
Some of us thought was a great idea, and some of us thought was terrible.
Well, I don't think that's necessarily an indictment on Smart, and this doesn't have to be either. The fact is he's 26, 27. His numbers have declined a little bit this year. We see him not playing at defense as well. There's real reason to think that this could be it with Smart, and his contract's up after next year. That's what I've been harping on. Like, they're probably not going to go into the 20s of millions to keep him here, which he should pursue.
Nor is anyone, but anyway, that's
we're not doing that, but yeah, I'm with you, John.
Well, either way, he should pursue that after he took 12
so should you.
Celtics before. Yeah. But either way, I think you got to get the best value for him when you can. My ideal thing was Collins for him. Let the Hawks re-sign him, keep him, do whatever they want with him, and let the Celtics keep a guy for 4 years. Now that that's off the table, the next best thing is having a guy like Gordon for 2 years. I know it's the same window, but if he wants to come here, maybe you have a better chance of keeping him. He's a wing. He's a little bit younger. And overall, like, who's the better shooter between those two? It's close, but it's probably Gordon by a hair in an aggregate. The problem is, come playoff time, when aggregates don't matter and the numbers don't matter and stuff like that between the lines, Smart has done some things for this team that have really shifted series. I mean, we saw it against Toronto in Game 7. If he doesn't make that play, they lose the series. So you're giving that up in terms of being a little better in the short term, having better fits in the short term, and having more flexibility in the future.
Yeah.
I mean, Smart's been great. I don't think there's any of this is a knock on him. I just think this is where the team is. They've gotten a little bit desperate, and they need to do something that's aggressive and, quote, desperate.
This is
well, I don't think I don't think they need to do anything desperate. I don't think trading Gordon for Smart is a desperate move. I think it's probably, at least this season, if you have to give up Smart and to get Gordon, it's not going to be seen as this major upgrade. It's going to be borderline lateral move, but it might be something that Danny Ainge thinks makes them better going into next season, and it might be a player that he sees.
And it shakes up the room now.
It's exactly. It could certainly help. I mean, it's not going to put them into the Nets echelon of teams, but what I'm saying is it might be something that Danny Ainge says, well, get a head start on next season at the very least. Get something going with these guys. Get them, see how they look together, and then he can make further adjustments and moves in the offseason. But Gordon might be a player that he's very interested in for all the reasons why we know he loves athletic wings who have a lot of potential, and I think Gordon still does have that. The fact that he's 25 is something that I think a lot of people forget. I mean, he is a young player. Again, he's been on these crappy Orlando teams with crappy guards around him, and I think that there is a little bit of maybe untapped potential that I would hope the Celtics could tap into a little bit, putting the right guys out there with him. So, I just think it might, at the very least, maybe Gordon is a more tradable guy than Smart will be. Maybe people don't look at him.
The asset.
Let me ask you this.
Maybe there's more teams interested in acquiring Gordon, not just good teams or really good teams looking for, that final depth piece to put them over the top.
Let me ask you this. Could they do better for Smart later?
Yeah.
That's what we keep talking about. This is, again,
I don't think you can.
Been around the world on this, Bobby. Right now, you've got 10 teams all looking to get better with about 2 to 3 impact players available, period. Okay? And so, obviously, now you're in a bidding war, which means you're going to probably overpay for this. And you're right. Could you get more for all of it? Again, Jimmy's been making this point all season. If Rob Williams plays himself into a place where he's like a legit stud by the end of the year or a piece, how much does his value increase over what it is after 40 games right now? If you get anything out of Romeo, if Neesmith starts to play and you see something, or if you, or whatever, all of
it's not going to happen.
I'm saying theoretically, the value
Romeo's
of your
alive.
pieces. You know the value of your pieces now. They all, many things could have great more value later when you're not competing with as many people all at once for such a small.
That's
pool.
true, but is Smart going to have more value later?
You can't match contracts. I mean, like that's where Smart comes into play in that scenario. And
That's true too.
To your point,
John,
John.
not sign and trade Smart.
They're not going to be able to do sign and trades this offseason. I just the Tatum contract just blows them past that hard tax that would go into place.
To John's point, though, like those Romeos and Neesmiths, shit, if you can couple someone like that with Marcus Smart, then all of a sudden that package deal gets a lot better, right? You throw in a first-round pick, it gets a lot better. Again, maybe Aaron Gordon right now is the best the Celtics can do, but next season, or during the offseason, maybe those values go up. One of those guys.
Well, yeah, let's consider this too.
You compare that with the draft picks, the future first.
Let's consider this too. If you trade Smart for Gordon straight up, that matches, as Josue just said. There's no TP involved whatsoever in that. Now you go into the tax. Do they want to do that? I don't know, but it would leave the full TP in place for the offseason. So that's another value of trading Smart, as he just mentioned. You wouldn't even have to touch a cent of that TP. You'd have the full $28 million for the offseason.
And are there any limitations to
Gordon
trading
better be your
Gordon?
guy then.
Once you acquire him, can you?
No. Over the offseason, they'd be good to trade him.
Right. So it's again when you were talking about value. I think I know John agrees with me. I don't know about you guys, but Marcus Smart's value I don't think will ever be much. I think we know who Marcus Smart is. I don't know if his value is going to increase a ton over the rest of his contract. I think he's worth. I'm not saying he's not worth his contract. I just don't think that he's going to turn into any different of a player than what he kind of is. He has improved in his playmaking, and I think that's probably where he's going to, I think he's. I mean, I guess I'll use the word peaked, but I think he's probably the player that we all know him to be. I can't imagine his worth going up or down a lot either way over the course of his remainder of his Celtics career. So if he's worth Aaron Gordon, then that's probably the type of player that you're going to get in return for Marcus Smart. Now, if you want to include picks and all this other stuff and add these other, assets in a deal for a bigger player, then that's the risk you take by holding on to him.
Well,
but you can theoretically include Gordon in that same trade.
Does it happen? I think no, and not because the Celtics don't try. I think the Celtics are going to get flat out bid because other teams have more attractive things to offer.
I agree. I don't think it's going to happen.
I think Denver's package that's being the one that they're considering, Boston can't match it. I don't care what they send.
Barton, let me guess. Barton,
Harris, young like RJ, and a first-round pick. Boston can't come within miles of that.
So the Magic are pretty close to the tax, and the Nuggets trade would blow them into it, which I don't think they would love because of Barton or Harris, whoever they decide to include in there. The advantage that the Celtics could end up pulling out of this.
Fourniering the TPE right now.
Yeah, so if you do like Nesmith and picks and just take Gordon on the TPE, that might be more valuable to the Magic, killing like $16 million in salary than Bol Bol and the Nuggets pick. Like the Nuggets pick's gonna be worse than the Celtics, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I think they have the advantage in that sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like the
Nuggets going to be in the lottery.
The TP is a real advantage, and I said this about the Kings too, which we can probably still consider the Kings in play here. I know they're saying no, but I feel like that's still on the table to some degree. The Kings, the Magic, those teams can dump full salary, whether it's Barnes is 22 or Gordon's 18, and just take back like $2 million, which is a ginormous win for cap purposes, especially for the Kings if they want to go out and sign someone eventually.
Yeah. What's kind of a bummer is that the reports today that the Celtics, like, while their front runners on Gordon, that their number one prize is Barnes. So Gordon's a consolation prize, I guess, in this thing, which is.
No, because Barnes is better.
I believe that. I said to you guys, I think that's BS. I don't even know what that means. I don't even know what that means. No offense to whoever reported it, but the Celtics.
I've seen it a couple places actually, but anyway,
it was me.
They're trying to smoke out the Kings. Like the Kings are.
I don't believe the smoke
the Kings
out.
Are a bunch of idiots that they think it's all fake.
I don't buy that. I just think they. I think they wanted Barnes. They just can't have him.
They might want Barnes, but honestly. Pure potential or pure athleticism talent. Doesn't Gordon seem like more of a Danny Ainge guy than Barnes? Younger?
Yeah.
Yes. I still don't know what Gordon does.
Yeah, but Barnes is better. Yeah, that's the point. We know Barnes is better.
Barnes is better, but Danny's never been the guy to always pick the better. I mean, look at and it's come back to bite him. Don't get me wrong. But he's always been the guy who's like in love with potential and athleticism and, that basically more than a steady guy maybe. I don't know.
Well, it depends what you're giving up. So like
it does depend what you're giving up.
If we're talking Smart for Gordon, I think in that case Danny might say this could end up being lateral if we miss Smart as a ball handler and Gordon comes in and isn't that great. If you're giving up like Nesmith for Barnes, I think you do that a million times over $1 million over Gordon for Smart. Because that just instantly helps your team. You don't even have to wait for Barnes to develop or become.
I think everyone would agree with that.
And he's here for 3 years.
Did Nesmith not play tonight because he's possibly involved in a trade?
No, they
he's
love
possibly
Grant.
Forgotten.
Because this is again.
Was Nesmith going to guard Giannis? Come on.
No, geez, but my goodness, a game after you got him back in there with some minutes, and he actually hit a couple of shots to go to 0 again is baffling to me. 0.
You need every guy on a string against this team.
I told you that, John. When we were going through the schedule like a week ago, I was like, he's not going to play against the Bucks, but after that 2-game stretch, he'll come back and we'll see what he's got. We'll see how his progression is thus far, right?
Might have been a few more threes if he was out there on the other end.
The reason why I don't think it could happen is not so much that like if the Celtics really, really, really wanted Gordon, I mean, I think they could make it happen, but Danny Ainge isn't going to overpay for Aaron Gordon because he doesn't feel the way he doesn't feel the way Bobby feels. I'm fully convinced in that. So That's why I don't think it's going to happen, because
So
he's
what,
not
like,
going to make a trade. He's not panicking. He's not going to make a desperation trade. He doesn't feel like he needs to make a trade to save the season. So that's why, I mean, if the Magic were looking to play a ball and meet them, kind of where they wanted to be, then I think they would make the trade. But if the Magic are looking to, play hardball and try to get every last drop out of a trade for Gordon, then you're right. I don't think the Celtics end up being the team that does it.
well, why is Woj out here and all these people saying the Celtics really want him? Like they want him so badly.
Ooh, Gordon?
Yeah. Like, if you're not going to give up what it takes to get a player in a trade, especially at this point where you really need to shake up this roster and add stuff for now and in the future, like, what are they doing? Like, they aren't in an advantageous position anymore. They have to give up value and go get a guy. That's where they're at. And you can keep saying they don't have the pieces to make it work, but
at the very least, it has to make you better.
the thing we don't think about is, what's the cost of doing nothing?
It has to make you better today, right? If you're not even sure it makes you better today, and you give up future assets that you could theoretically use in other trades, what are we doing? If people are still torn on whether shipping out Smart for Gordon is bad, plus you're also going to give up a young player and a first-round pick, why even discuss it at that point? If it's a lateral move and you lose more assets, you're gaining nothing.
Because of what Jimmy mentioned, you need an asset for the long term.
I
You need
agree
a guy
with
that you
that.
can invest and grow in.
Yeah.
Like, this is the thing. They have a clock here. They can't just sit back and say, "Oh, we'll wait a couple years and see what's out there." The TP expires, Smart's gone, Theis gone, all the stuff that they could use right now and put together. Even your pick, which right now is in a better position than it was before.
You know what bugs me the most? And you're not wrong, but the Gordon thing popped off early in the week, and it was like, okay, they're close here. What's been depressing since then is there's been no momentum towards this appearing to be a deal that they're going to get done, and then no other names have popped off. In fact, names are falling off the list, like Barnes and Collins, and nobody will even say Lonzo's name. Somebody give me a Lonzo rumor.
They're going to keep him. They're going to keep him.
Because he's staying put, right? Exactly. He's not going anywhere.
Just give me a Lonzo rumor.
I'll tweet one out. It'll be fake.
Give me something to get excited about tomorrow. I don't want to spend. And guys, we're going live tomorrow at 2:00, right up to the trade deadline at 3 for anybody watching. So please join us there. We're going to take you right into the trade deadline and after, in case anything happens. And if nothing happens, we'll still talk and we'll
freak out.
We'll grieve together
and start fighting.
We'll fight. Bobby's
definitely
gonna be. You do not want to be around Bobby tomorrow. Trust me.
If they do nothing, oh Lord, they're gonna have to put an emoji over my face.
Right.
No, he's gonna get mad when the trade machine crashes. That's when he's gonna get mad.
I need to wake up tomorrow to something new, some new buzz, because there's
gonna be buzz.
If all that's happening is a Gordon trade, I'm not even sure I want to see. Like, it's like I still don't even know how to feel if it goes down, but. I'm at the point where change for the sake of change might even be good. So that's why I would do the Smart for Gordon swap there. But I don't know. I mean, I'm still not certain.
Hey, I wouldn't be happy with a couple of picks and whatever for Barnes at this point. I really don't think that's off the table.
I'm happy that we got.
Fans
go ahead, Jimmy.
Gordon? How do Magic fans feel about Gordon? I imagine they probably like Gordon, right? I mean, he's been a guy that's given them some entertainment over the years, at the very least.
No, they're probably frustrated.
Are there Magic fans? Do Magic fans exist, or are they like Heat fans?
Yeah, the dunk contest was a long time ago.
Yeah.
So they asked him yesterday. Someone actually asked him about the trade rumors, and he answered it. He said he's just been so frustrated with the situation there. Like they put such a load on him because of all the injuries. They haven't gotten anyone. They haven't gone anywhere. They've made a couple playoffs, but it's just not a good situation. And that's the hope here. You really hope that he becomes the fourth, fifth option on a team and just flourishes as a cutting dunker, as a off-ball shooter. Defensively is what you're really banking in on. I wouldn't even over fixate on the offense, because defensively is where you hope he's going to improve you. Play him at some 5. Let him defend 4s. Here's the thing about.
I know, but again, the thing
we haven't mentioned this. And it does matter. Smart's like 6'3", 200 something. This guy is 6'8", 245, real power, jacked out of his mind.
I've mentioned
he's got
100
great
times.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
But
Jimmy did the good work.
Here's my only
Thank you.
concern with Gordon. I know he's only 25, which is great because that sounds like a young player. He's been in the league for 7 years, and he's still the same guy. Has his game taken a major leap forward in any of the last 4 years, 5 years? He's the same guy.
Who's been his best point
I
guard?
don't know. I think
That's the thing,
anybody.
he's got no good guards, right?
And I think, and again, maybe there's something that can unlock it. But at the end of the day, I mean, everyone, if the Celtics trade for Gordon, you have to accept the fact that that's who you're getting. Like I don't know that there's a next level. You're getting a guy who's an okay shooter, but for his career, about 33% from three. Granted, he's flashing this year, but I also think that's fool's gold. He averages about 13 points a game. He's fine. But he doesn't have an elite skill set at anything.
What's Marcus Smart's elite skill set?
He doesn't have it either. That's the thing is.
How about the 20th pick in next year's draft? What's his skill set?
Right. So you're trading. You're trading either for fit or for projection, but not for any sort of guarantee.
Or asset management in the future. I mean, teams around the league obviously like this guy and want him, and there's been buzz around him forever. And if he really starts to flourish in Boston, that's your next step on the ladder toward making the move. And I've said this over and over again. You don't want to go into the offseason with $28 million of that TPE intact for various reasons. You want to have part of it to use and part of it in the bank on a real player for salary matching purposes. Like, there's lots and lots of limitations on this team in the offseason. They're going to make it extremely hard to get the full value of that $28 million. So, like, everyone keeps thinking they can wait. The team keeps saying, "Oh, we're going to wait," and I just look at their books and their situation and say,
like I said, "I'm doing it if it's there. I'm doing it if it's there," and then you hope for the best. I
think he's improved his passing. To answer your question,
when you make trades,
good short roll passing.
That you've given up something because you're going to get something of tremendous value in return. This is one of those where you're like, I hope this works out, and it's a little bit of a Hail Mary sort of trade. That's all.
And let me hit on, I'll throw this to Joe Sway. This notion that, they shouldn't do anything because the team's not trying hard enough or they're not invested. It's not worth giving them an improvement. Like, come on. That's not how you manage a roster. They, in the offseason, said, we're going to kick this move down to the deadline or next offseason, see what the best available option is, and go with that. The possibility that they could just end up doing nothing is not fair to the team. It's not fair to the coach, and it's not fair to the future roster.
Are you about fair? You make a deal if it's a good deal. You don't make a deal because it would be mean to Tatum to not make it. Like, it's either a good move or it's not.
Life isn't fair, Bobby.
That's it. The trade. You think the trade is favorable for some reason, or it's not. That's it. You don't just make it because you have to. Like, there's no have to. It makes sense to, but you don't just make it. You make a trade that is a good trade for you. And obviously, if he's holding firm, I don't believe this is a case of, I know everyone in the media likes to say, I know fans like to say, Danny's got to win. I don't think Danny feels he has to win. I think like any GM, you set a price tag of what a player's worth and value is to you, and you don't go skyrocketing over it because you have to have it. That's what GMs who get fired fast do is, I fall in love with things, panic, freak out, throw in too much,
gotta save their job,
and then not get returns. That's not what you do if you're good at your job. You set a value and you go, and if it means a lot, you go a little up. I mean, like in any sale, you have. Here's my first offer. Oh, okay. I can give you a little bit more. Like, Danny knows where he's willing to go with it. But if Denver blows them out of the water, I mean, is Danny throwing everything he's got into this deal? Probably not.
Well, is Denver going to throw RJ Hampton into this? Like, I hear that thrown around, and I don't think so. Why would you trade a guy with that much potential who's 19 instead of a guy with potential who's 25? Yeah, like if they want to do that, go ahead. I just don't think they're going to.
Like I said, I don't know. But if Denver blows him away, is Danny just going to keep going and going and going until he gets it? I don't know. I don't think it's good business.
Yeah, but I mean, I think the one thing that would make us believe that that's the case is that report that, again, we don't know if there's any truth to it, but that they've been targeting Aaron Gordon for the last 2 years. The last 2 trade deadlines, they had him on their radar. So if they want him that badly, I mean. Yeah. It could happen.
Go get him.
We could see Smart traded for for Aaron Gordon if that's what Orlando was asking for.
I wonder if Smart's talking tonight. Anyone see anything from him?
Oh, I doubt it, man.
I haven't seen anything.
So Jake Fisher,
Been
I do
staring
have
at you guys.
I do have a nugget from Jake Fisher, who's a good basketball reporter.
I saw that too. You trust this?
Yeah, I do.
Denver's now in the lead.
Denver, the front runner. Yeah.
If they're offering RJ Hampton, which is what KOC said earlier, because how could the Magic pass that up? That's like a new first round pick, premium guy who should have been a lottery pick.
We got one of those.
Again, the fact that Nesmith won the lottery and RJ Hampton didn't, RJ Hampton was obviously my guy. That was so stunning to me.
So,
and
Bobby,
Hampton fell fast.
When you say things like what type of value do these picks have? They have value if you pick the right guy. You know, like look at the guys who've gone after Nesmith who absolutely would have put the Celtics over the hump in any of these trades right now. And Hampton could be one, Sadiq Bey could be another. There's guys taken after him that absolutely, if the Celtics had that today, they make any trade. They're front runners in these trades. And they're not simply because of the fact that Nesmith actually has negative value right now. I mean,
he makes other GMs angry when you bring up his name. He's negative value.
He may poison the entire team you send him to, even if he doesn't play. Like nobody wants it. It's negative value. In fact, it probably makes the GM so mad at Danny that he even mentions Nesmith's name that it like just sullies the rest of the trade talks. They can't
hang up.
Yeah.
So what if
Precious?
But but hey, John can say that about Nesmith, but we're not allowed to say that about Romeo because that's
no,
John.
Not at all.
Speaking of the word precious, that's John's precious is Romeo right there. He's protecting Romeo at all costs. We're not even sure again if Romeo is alive. This could be a weekend at Bernie situation.
So
Fisher
Fisher
trying to trade somebody who is literally like on strings right now.
So Fisher doubled.
You guys see Romeo? Oh my God, he's jacked.
I can't wait to see him. I don't know. I haven't seen the guy in a year.
Oh my God, when Romeo gets on the practice court, it's gonna be like, oh, it's playoff time.
Yeah, because he didn't make the trip. As soon as they get back to Boston, we'll get a Romeo segment for sure.
So
they have 7 straight home games coming up. That's gonna be interesting.
Just wait till you see
Weekend at Romeo's. We're about to see if he's actually a real human being.
Yeah. Hey, do it, Bobby. What are you going to say here? You're reading more of this report?
Yeah, he says so. There's been talk today that Smart's off the table, but Fisher says it's still a first and Smart, and they might throw a second. Then Fournier would come back to
and then the Fournier
double
thing.
down on.
So
on
basically, what Fisher said was they don't want to do the trade that was reported they were going to do yesterday, but they still might do the trade that was reported yesterday.
And he's saying for Denver, it's one of their young players. So Zeke Nnaji or Bol Bol or RJ Hampton. I don't think one of those guys is enough.
Bol
Bol. Oh, he destroyed Syracuse when they played him in college. He was really good at Oregon.
I'm ready to do the trade. If the trade was available now, I'm ready to do it. But
yeah,
I'm ready. I'm ready to get the shot.
Yeah, I'm ready just do it.
I told you guys that I pulled up YouTube.
Reschedule.
If anyone at home watching is a little bit on the fence, just YouTube Aaron Gordon highlight reel and just only watch those. Don't watch it.
Those are great.
I might break down some film tonight. I'll dive in.
And you'll be totally convinced that this is the right idea.
Somebody give me more names, more rumors, guys.
You want me to fire up the trade machine? I'll do it.
No, I don't want that. People's trade machines are making my head hurt right now with the dumbness of some of these trades. But
mine was pretty good, wasn't it? Give me a little credit.
Except that Oklahoma City was getting nothing and giving up everything. Yeah,
that was the only part.
That's pretty much what people want Orlando to take. So
they were giving us 2 firsts for Smart and
giving away.
It's not their first.
They're just giving away picks just to join the party.
How many picks can they feasibly take? I mean,
Nesmith. Smart's an unrestricted free agent. Nesmith's a bust. 2 firsts.
Yeah.
I wish I could. I wish I actually.
If it helps you guys, let's do it.
I wish I actually had the number in front of me because you guys would be blown away. Like they obviously don't have 30 first, but they have like 18, I think.
I know, but you don't just give them away like you
gotta use them for something at some point. Like, are they gonna find
something good?
Yeah.
So when Bradley Beal becomes available and the Thunder roll 18 first round picks to the table, like Washington's just going to be like, how do we use all these? I don't even know what we're going to do with these.
I feel like there's something out there. You're hearing Indiana. I don't know if Atlanta's truly taken Collins off the table, but maybe they have. You don't know how much of this stuff is posturing coming from teams who want to make other teams step to the table and really offer more. So tomorrow's going to be silly. We are going to go live. We'll see what's right. It's been reported today that Orlando is going to take it down to the wire. So this very much could be in that last hour, half-hour situation before this thing gets done. And it could be like, okay, that's what you're offering. Hang on, click. Okay, what do you got? Click, and around we go. So
let me throw one more idea at you, because Jimmy tossed this out a while ago, and I do think it's interesting that the market has killed this guy's value in the way it has.
Wait,
do you circle back? Do you circle back to Victor Oladipo if it costs?
You hate him, and you don't get to talk about him.
Oh yeah,
Right.
you're not allowed to
but
talk about him.
What if it costs? What if it costs 3 second-round picks and you match salary?
You and your second-round picks, man. Those are literally pennies.
Literally,
Those are pennies.
nobody.
I'm just saying, no one wants Oladipo right now. So do you take advantage of his low costs? I mean, I literally think that's what it's going to be for him, like a second-round pick at this point.
Yeah, I mean,
TPE and second-round picks.
I don't know if he fits the TP, but I guess if that's a possibility, yeah.
And then what? Then he's free, and you've wasted it for nothing. And now you have him and Smart and Kemba.
What if you could flip Kemba for him, as we've talked about?
Done. I'm.
We've talked about that because
sign me up. Shit.
I'll do anything to get out of 2 years of Kemba.
Didn't resign Oladipo, it would free them of Kemba, which is what John wants.
If you're Houston, it's not an awful idea, at least for the next.
Yeah, I just wonder what Boston thinks about that. Yeah.
Those 2 years.
I texted that exact trade like a month ago to you guys. And
I thought there'd be real offers.
Bobby's all over the place. Bobby doesn't know what to feel or think anymore. He's been in on trades, out on trades.
That was a whole month ago. Bobby he's somewhere else now. Like
he's all over the place.
No, there are no real offers out there for Oladipo. No one wants to offer anything for him right now because he's going to be a free agent. But can Boston say the value of acquiring him is going to be getting out of 2 years of Kemba? Maybe it's something you think about if you want to go in the other direction right now and start to drop in the standings.
I don't know. Like I said, I'm all for selling parts, especially ones you don't need for next year.
See, you can trade Kemba, John. Anything is possible.
Trade Kemba, but you can trade Tristan maybe. You can maybe trade Smart. If you know you're not signing people next year and you can trade for either future assets or anything that you can use in the future, I'm for that, even if you don't necessarily improve now. But
hold on, can we
again, I hate to wrap it, but we're going to wrap it. It is we're up over an hour here, and we are going live tomorrow at 2. So a phenomenal night. I know obviously everybody out there is super interested in what's going to happen. We've had up to 12, over 1,200 people in the stream at one time here, which is amazing. So please come back tomorrow. I know it's a work day. It's the middle of the day. We will be live at 2. If you haven't subscribed already to our YouTube channels, do so. You'll get notified.
Yeah, pop on the headphones. Don't let the boss know. Have like your Excel spreadsheet in the next, in case he walks by.
Never mind. You can't do Kemba for Oladipo. So scratch
that. Man's playing Gallagher.
Why not?
So
he doesn't make enough.
Hey, so we're going live at what time? 2:00?
2 to 3.
Oh, well, we'll be on past
2 to 3. Happy Greek Independence Day tomorrow to everybody. Thank you, George. I appreciate the reminder there.
Happy Greek Independence Day, John.
Thank you. There you go.
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to see if I can get on it too. I can't make any promises, but I'm gonna give it a shot.
Okay, cool.
Cool.
We'll see.
Sherrod's gonna dip in. We may throw some other smart people. Bobby likes smart guys. I like to kind of keep it. I don't like people that are that much smarter than me.
We're anti-smart.
We gotta have some information here. We can't just be spouting. I mean, I just gave a wrong trade.
I'm just here to yell.
But I just like spouting things. It doesn't really matter if like Kemba for Smart. Like, let's talk about it. We don't need to know if we didn't want to know that it couldn't happen, Bobby. We didn't ask for that information.
Hey, well now you can use them in the TP, so you can start dreaming of that.
My boy Mario in the chats.
John from Zilla.
The Greeks are coming out.
Where's Zilla?
What's the move, John? What's the celebration? What's the plan? Well, besides working,
the plan tomorrow is like any other day. I think sadly
Greek
that's
food?
about it. I may go. I may take a ride to Sophia's in Belgium and in Belmont and get myself some Greek treats there. No, it's a little shop.
So thing.
What do you pick up? What's the spinach? I always forget the name of it, man. That spinach appetizer.
Spanakopita is the name, but
Yeah.
spinach pie. Yeah, it's a
Spinach
good stuff.
pie. That's good. That's my stuff.
That is good.
One more thing from Matt Moore, who is pretty close to the Nuggets too. He's in Denver. He doesn't think the Nuggets have progressed or gotten aggressive enough on Gordon. So I just think everybody's waiting to give like the least they possibly can for him.
So after all this time, after all the reports we've heard and all the rumors and sources, we're sitting here almost 12 hours until the deadline, and we all know absolutely nothing, which just goes to show you how crazy this and silly this whole trade season is.
We know that we're playing Giannis Antetokounmpo.
We don't know what we don't know.
I'll say this: Kyle Lowry's
Independence Day, and we have a lot of friends out there who like Greek food, so we know that much. So
looks like Kyle Lowry's gone.
I don't think I know
We get to
much
cover
about
this
Greek
team.
food, John.
We get to cover this matchup all over again in a couple of days. So.
Yeah. So last thing I will say, just because it's been bugging me, we didn't spend enough time on it, and I just saw the final stat on it.
Rob.
So now Celtics went scoreless for $132 to end the game when they had chances to tie and take the lead. And Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown did not touch the ball a single time in the last minute and 32 seconds of the game. And again, of the things that we talk about, Bobby, and again, this could spiral into an hour, but the things that we talk about, that may be the single most frustrating thing about Brad Stevens and his tenure here as coach. And that goes back to the Eastern Conference Finals against the Cavaliers when Jayson Tatum didn't touch the ball for 4 straight minutes. I just can't understand coaching a team and not saying you must, first thing you do when you cross half court, get the ball in one of those guys' hands and we run the offense through them. I don't understand how that happens. You're playing into some other team's strength. A minute 32 and your 2 best players, 2 all-stars, don't touch the ball is obscene to me.
Then when they do touch the ball, you blast them for not being good enough ball handlers. You just move on to the next gripe.
Okay, so you like the plan of them?
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I was going to say, Bobby, how do you defend that?
No, I'm just saying. There's a gripe for everything with this team. And again, a lot of people have jumped off the ship tonight and said that the team's not even worth investing in or improving. I still disagree. I think Brown's good enough. I think Tatum's good enough. I think this core is good enough.
So give them the ball down the
piece.
stretch.
Give them the freaking ball.
Why
But you know what that means, guys.
It goes back to what we talked about earlier.
They don't have to ISO it. They can draw defenders and pass it, and it's okay. But they got to touch the freaking ball.
Right.
Yeah,
but it's almost like there's no Superman on the team, so there's nobody demanding the ball once they, cross half court. It's like you said, it's like almost like taking turns with the ball, whether it's Jaylen or whether it's Tatum. It was neither that time, but it was, apparently it was Smart again down the stretch. And I'm not going to blame Smart for the loss, but it does feel like he ends up with, the ball in his hands taking the shot late in the games way more often than really I think anybody wants to see. So it was, another
it's almost
case
like
tonight.
they're baiting him into taking it. Like the defense is like, sure, give the ball to Marcus. Sure, you can shoot. Why do you think he has so many open shots? They're like,
wide open. Same thing with Theis. Yeah.
But that goes back to Brad needing to have, the right plays to get these guys open and get them the ball.
Yeah. Anyway, we will wrap it. I will say I went the entire hour and 15 minutes without saying Rob Williams.
I tried to get you in the end.
Rob Williams.
They've gotten his minutes up.
He's
playing good.
Tonight.
The streak continues.
Listen, I told you guys you were going to get what you wanted. How many?
We didn't.
How many did he play tonight?
19 minutes.
Not much at all.
Geez. Well, he was 28 the other day, so they had to rest him tonight.
Yeah,
no, I think they liked. I think it was a Theis game.
Yeah.
For better for worse, I think that was what they went with.
Oh, is Thompson gone tomorrow?
Yeah.
No matter what.
No, I don't think I can get anyone to take him.
We didn't talk about the Thompson rumors, but they also actually kind of bore me, so I'm not going to get into that. But we'll see what happens with him tomorrow as well. Obviously,
No
anything you can do. People are saying 2 to 3:30. I honestly think that's how long we'll be up here. Probably 90
sure,
minutes tomorrow. If we
some of
don't
those-
have the cast for the entire time, people pop in and out. Like I said, Sherrod's probably going to join us. We may have some other.
What if
people.
something happens at 3 a.m. tonight? What are we gonna do? Do I have to shake you out of bed?
You know me. I sleep 3 hours a night, and it's not always the same 3. So as long as I get 3 hours, yeah. What's
I think
that?
that's cap, John.
It's cap. Cap, bro.
Is that why you wore that?
John's
No.
cap.
When our social media interns who are like 12 years old sent a text thread and they're like, that Bobby and I are both on, and they sent the text with Jaylen Brown and the cap responding to the
Did
thing.
you really not have a clue?
What I wrote back in the chain was, explain it to me like I'm 45.
Wow.
Yeah.
And all of them were like, oh, this freaking boomer.
John goes, what the F does that mean?
What the F?
I wonder if Nick knows what it means.
Oh my
No
God.
chance.
No chance.
Why'd you cap it, bro?
Nick has no idea what that means. What?
Yeah.
If,
Oh
I
my
was gonna
God.
say, if John doesn't know that Nick. I mean, yeah. If John doesn't know, Nick doesn't know that shit.
That phrase is used a lot and almost absolutely too much.
Clearly.
Yeah.
One time was too much for me. I think it's dumb
Yeah.
as shit, but anyway.
It is dumb.
It just cracked me up having to.
That's
'cause
cap.
you have to- obviously, because Jaylen Brown used it, I have to put it in my stories. I'm writing the story. I'm like, I have to explain what this means. I can't just throw it out there like it's
But like
you know,
telling me was like showing your dad how to Google, like it was like
Oh man.
that cracked me
Cap.
up.
That was
Yeah.
like when the James Harden rumors were going like crazy before he was traded, and he posted a video of him like unscrewing a bottle cap, and everyone's like, does that mean cap or no cap? And then like it just went back
Oh,
and forth.
I forgot about
Nobody
that.
had any idea.
Yeah.
So just another
Oh, my
cap
God.
example. That's a different type of cap, John. It means
Okay.
the same thing. It's just a different type of cap. I don't want to blow your mind or anything, but
It's all right. It's all right. The other things were like my vision's going too. So I was looking at it. I was like, is that a hat? Pandemic killed my screen eyes. Killed me.
yeah, you got to get the blue. You got to get the blue light.
I needed
glasses, dude.
I needed them. I was
No, I think that's the
2020
move.
my entire life, actually better than 2020, and now I'm like squinty. This pandemic killed me
Yep.
with the screens.
You'll start
Killed
to
me.
get the Twitch soon.
Ugh,
Twitch is
so
next.
bad. Yeah. Oh, someone's saying Woj bomb, but I don't believe it. Somebody look real quick.
Do not believe anything in the chat, please.
They just don't want us to
Unless
leave.
they're saying
I don't believe
that
it, but
would
it's
be
worth
cool.
checking. Well, I'm not going to
I don't
report on
believe
it.
I don't think
No,
Woj
This
tweeted.
is what they do. This is what the chat does. They do.
Woj hasn't
fake-
tweeted for a while, guys. I have Twitter. I may not know what the cap means, but I can look up. Friggin' tweets.
A lot of people want to follow you, John. Put your Twitter out there.
My Twitter, they just want to troll me. My Twitter. What is my Twitter?
John doesn't tweet often, but when he does,
It makes a wave. The
it
people
gets,
No,
at
notice.
by
least,
the way,
it gets at least
what's that-
2
what's
likes.
that?
Yeah.
What's that
It's
cover
John
photo?
_Zanis, Zannis. I forgot what it was. John _Zanis.
What's that cover photo? I like it. I like that.
Oh, that's Bob from Bob's Burgers.
Oh.
No, the cover photo.
Yeah, that's
What
how
is-
John hides his identity.
Oh, the cover? Is it like the
Yeah.
lights?
Yeah,
That's a Fish concert that I went to.
I thought it was Coldplay. I was gonna ask you about that. It looks like
No,
Oh,
Coldplay.
you're a
That was from a show that I went to. It's just a cool looking picture.
That's just
Oh,
funny
you
because
went
that's
to
two
a Fish
completely
concert,
different,
huh?
two completely different
Dude.
bands. So I was off on that.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Confirmed fish
It
guy.
looks like the Coldplay show.
Yeah.
Woj
for
bomb.
jar
Neesmith
pickles.
for a jar of pickles.
There it is.
How
Thanks.
many pickles? Because
That's
that
what we
might
couldn't
actually
find.
determine
That's
whether
an
it's
awful
worth it or
trade.
not.
Terrible trade.
Yeah. Terrible trade. All right. So, guys, again, tomorrow, 2:00. Again, thank you for hanging out. Celtics lose to the Bucks. Moral victory, frustrating game, possibly Marcus Smart's last game. Keep an eye on your Twitter. Literally anything could happen. And I swear, if we're still awake, we're jumping live if something happens at 2 or 3 a.m. Bobby, I put it on. It's on you to wake me.
Now, if it happens at 8:30 a.m., you're gonna have to shake me out of
That's
bed.
the opposite, right?
Yeah.
Like my
I'll be
tough
up.
window
We'll be up.
is like 2 to 6. The rest of it, I'm around.
Yeah, don't wake me up.
That's the
I'll
only
let
window
you
you're not
guys
going to
handle
find me. Yeah.
Those are John's sleeping hours and 2 to 6. Jeez.
Let's go, guys. Let's do something big tomorrow. Let's get creative. Let's get funky. It would be really interesting if a million things happen. I'd love to see 3 trades.
I think that's the sneaky possibility that the
I'd love to
Celtics
see-
have to send this like a bunch of different ways.
This guy to here, this guy to here, and I'd
Yeah.
love to see a total freaking makeover of this team.
Don't get your hopes up. Don't get your
I
hopes
think there's a
up.
good chance that happens.
I've been around long enough, Jimmy. We know how this usually ends.
How's this gonna end tomorrow? What
We
are they
can
gonna
dream.
do? What's your prediction?
They make a trade, but I don't know
You
which
think
one.
so?
Yeah.
All right, Jimmy,
Nothing.
Josue.
Low tier trade.
I'm scared of nothing too.
All right,
I
let's see what
feel it.
happens. 2
Low
o'clock
trade
tomorrow.
involving end of the bench players and draft picks.
We'll see you guys here.